How's it going, everyone? Today we're back with another in-depth review of our favorite top laner T1 Zeus. And recently in the LCK playoffs, he had a really good game on Camille. He completely popped off, and we did get quite lucky. It wasn't a cringe lane swap, so he wasn't level 1 at 5 minutes. So we get to break down his laning, his team fighting, everything he did extremely well in that game. So if that sounds good to you, then let's get started. Hey everyone, if you're passionate about improving and leveling up your gameplay, I've been offering coaching classes for 5 days a week for quite some time, and just seen firsthand how much my students have been improving across all different elo brackets. How it works is you'll come to a class with a VOD like reviewed, and I'm going to help you with your early game, your mid game, or anything you feel like needs improving. And if you're unsure, then I'm going to steer you in the right direction by setting clear learning objectives. Link's going to be in the description, I hope to see you there, but if not, then enjoy the video. For our first matchup, we have Camille into Gangplank, so a pretty old school matchup, but also one that's extremely volatile. And if you're curious what runes he took, he's got a standard grass page, but because this is a pro game, he's taken Shield Bash over Demolish, and he didn't take Cosmic Insight, even though I do recommend that in solo queue if you have TP and Flash. In a pro match, very slow paced, he's probably only going to get 3 or 4 flashes off this entire game, so Boots and Cookies is a bit more consistent, spiking it around 11-12 minutes with Triforce and free boots is going to be a bit nicer for him when the reduced flash cooldown doesn't matter as much as you're mainly fighting around neutral objectives anyway in these pro games. And you can communicate to your team, wait for my flash as well, so that's also a factor. So some of you'll know straight away is he didn't put a point into anything. That's because if Gangplank approaches on his side and tries to hit him with passive, he can skill Q and get a quick auto Q trade, or maybe even space out auto Q and really punish him. But if nothing happens like that, he can just kill W. So pretty flexible. And here he goes for the barrel, prioritizes the barrel minigame over hitting GP, and then he commits W here. So I do think the W was a mistake. I would like to see Q start when you're so close range, or maybe even E start. Or if he is going to start W, hold on to it. But, first mistake of the game, not too big of an issue. So something that's really important in this matchup, but on Camille in general, is you want to be 3-wave crashy. Your wave control is so terrible that by the time you do get the second wave in, the enemy top, if they're good, can just hold the casters from hitting tower, and then wave 3 and 4 bunches up here. It's a very terrible position to be in. So he really, after he hit the wave a lot at the start to guarantee that he's getting prio, but when he realized he had it, he slowed down his push a lot. So now, nice, the wave 3 is coming in, and good use of his E there. This is the Camille zone that he's in right now, so really hard for GP to walk up when Camille has E and passive up. But wave 3 is here, so he's going to be getting this wave under tower as fast as he can, and also trying to get perfect CS. He got 17 out of 19, if I remember correctly, so not a bad start. So here he tries to do the Zeus special, juggling the tower aggro, poking under tower, and he times it pretty well relative to the shot, so he cues him just as the tower shoots at the cannon and spaces out with W. I think he W'd on accident backwards, or maybe he's greedy for the farm, and he was just off with his timing. The passive shield just dropped off right now before the tower shot hit him, so pretty unfortunate, but good timing, I would say, around the tower. Just could use the passive a little bit better, but not too bad. He's in a great spot, farming in front of this GP, massive waves. If GP hits him, the wave won't turn onto him, but Camille will hit him back, so it's a pretty scary situation for him to be in. And again, another Q under tower, doesn't even take a shot that time. So really good, one of his strengths for sure. So wave coming back in, and he's going to be trying to let the wave come back in, I should assume, and then trying to poke GP as much as he can. You see how much every single CS GP is going for. He's trying to punish him for it, even though he's so close to tower, really, on that nice edge. And good stuff. GP walks up for a minion, gets W'd. If you try to touch this minion, I'm going to punish you. The classic, and he chose to ward here because he wanted to let the wave come back towards him. If he was trying to push GP under tower, this deeper ward is a little bit better, but with the wave coming back, you want here because especially when the wave bounces back here, you want to see if the enemy jungler is just sitting there waiting for you. But it's also just a pretty consistent ward as well in general, as long as you're not hard pushing under tower and playing up here. So here we can see the waves pretty much in the center, and he's playing really aggressively for trades here, trying to get GP into lethal. He's really close. Right now he's probably thinking when my next passive is up, I'm going to go on the GP. And they're abusing level 5 versus 4, so really good fundamentals as well. And now if you touch this cannon minion, I'm going to go on to, you can see the posturing here. And I would assume the reason he doesn't want to E is because he doesn't know exactly where Maokai is. He could feel a little bit scared because around this timer, the second camp respawns. So Maokai cleared down this game. I don't know if you guys saw, but if that happens, the second camp respawn will be around 4:10 to 4:30, and I'm guessing Maokai will be up here. Yep, so that's why he's not committing his E right now. He doesn't want Maokai to appear out here and just shut him down, so he knows. The second raptor spawn, I think 4:10. If we go back a little bit, yep, there it is, 4:10 into the 4:30 golems for 20. So that he knows if I commit my E here, I'm going to die. So this is something you can bring into your solo queue games, even if you're not playing Camille. A lot of champions have a major spell that if you use it, you're in a lot of threat from dying. So with Jax, it's your Q, Camille E, Yone if you use your E at a bad time, or if you don't use your E, maybe it's a last hit. So there's always a spell that you need to use very well that can allow you to survive ganks. Camille, if the Maokai appears here and she has flash and E, she's not going to die. If she E's onto Gangplank and Maokai appears, she's dead. But she's still trading with Q and W and force Gangplank to base, so he's still played really well around that limit of forcing trades with his Q, W auto passive, everything except for his Gang Survive tool. And if he knew Maokai was bottom, he definitely would have committed E there and probably been able to burn flash, but of course we have to play around the jungle. So he TP's back, he's up about 7 CS so far, not too bad of a spot to be in, and now slowly pushing in this wave under tower, trying to slow push and hard push, but from this point when Gangplank gets Sheen, the matchup does get kind of tricky, so it was quite hard for him to get this wave under tower. He's trying to respect barrels. You can see something that's interesting is his micro movements here. He's trying to bait Gangplank to place a second barrel and hit this one by his movement. He's trying to pretend like he's walking towards GP or walking up for any reason to hit a minion maybe, and make Gangplank commit a second E. Now good discipline on Kingan's end, but we can see just by these movements, hit a minion, click back, pretend to hit a minion, click back. These little micro movements and patterns where I am hitting a minion, I'm walking back, and he's walking up again. But the second time he pretended to hit the minion, and the third time, he's really trying to bait out the Gangplank E. So a lot of mind games go into top lane, but especially when you play against champs like GP with very telegraphed abilities like this, we can see. But in the end, he gives up, he wants his minions, and Kingan good discipline on his barrel. So he's in a little bit of a tricky situation, but because this is a cannon wave, it'll be a lot easier for him to get it in, and he saw GP commit 3 barrels there, so he can go really hardy with an E trade, and now the wave is coming back towards him. So something that's really good to note in this game is, of course I don't have the comms, but I'm assuming he's communicating to his team around this timer, Camille level 6 with Sheen, the wave is coming back towards me. Which means in a minute, top is going to be gankable, so we'll see very shortly. He's respecting the Maokai here, but he's communicating the timer. In 1 minute, the wave will be here, so I want you guys to gank for me, and we'll see the whole squad turns up. Support jungle, everyone knows this is a really pivotal timer in this matchup, but the Alistar was spotted on a pink. But this is still good. He cleared the pink, and now he doesn't want Ziggs to get dived. You can see the enemy actually pinged on the way, so he boosted straight back bottom, but Sejuani is still making it for this timer, and they're able to pick up a kill on this bounce back. So really good stuff by him. I'd say the early laning was quite good. And also abusing the level 6 Camille spike, communicating to his jungler in advance, really good stuff. And because this is a normal wave, he can hard push and get a clean recall off. If it was a cannon, he might need to slow push it or base at the start of the stack, but normal wave, so not an issue, and he's able to stabilize and come out of base on in a really good position. So now coming back onto the map, he notices if you look at top wave, he has a free timer. He crashes wave, the wave's bouncing back towards him, so instead of just going straight back top and maybe respecting Maokai, maybe just catching a farm, he's going to be hovering around mid. If Nasus played up here, maybe tried to E fake around the tower, he could have gone for a gank, and luckily he caught him warding, but even if Nasus didn't walk here, he would have probably gone for the gank if Nasus walked up, and he's able to get this kill. And something else you'll notice is before, when they killed Gangplank, he didn't commit his ulti because he didn't need to. GP was so overextended, so really good use of, holding of his major abilities, and because he held onto it, he was able to kill the Nasus as well. So already off to a great start, 2-0 lead, getting pretty close to his Triforce, and once he has that, he's going to really start to speed up the game. So I'll fast forward a little bit, slow push into hard push, very standard stuff here. And Kingan's a little bit scared being Sheen versus Sheen Phage, so he wants to be sitting far back here. Sitting on the barrel, it's kind of hard for Camille to force it, good barrel by him, and he's just going to be trying to get this wave in, so hard push this one. And good freeze by King in there. Gets the warden to try, like we talked about, if you're hard pushing, you want to be warding try, because you spot the enemy jungle. This one's a little bit greedy. Don't try this at home, maybe ward in the center, so that you clear up more of this fog. You can see a little bit more of this. So if the jungler appears here instead of here, you get more time to react, but I'm just nitpicking, it's still a good ward. And here he's just trying to get the wave in, because you don't want your wave stuck here, of course, but he can. So he'll tank some damage to get it in, but it's going to be worth it, and you'll notice the second TP's coming up just in time for his Triforce spike. So really clean stuff, comes back with Triforce, and now's the point in the game where you want to be doing as much as you can, right? The Triforce Camille spike, really strong at this point. And especially now while GP is still on Sheen, he wants to be trying to heavy force, but great wave control by Kingen. This is probably one of the harder parts of the matchup, is when GP is in this position, kind of under the tower, but you can still go for an E-trade and block the tower shot with your passive, exactly what he's doing here. And because he's gained a lead from playing well early game, he's not in too bad a spot. So this was also a good trade, even though he didn't hit the E. You can see how well he's playing around his passive this game. He's waiting to one, perfectly timed passive, like legit perfectly timed. So I'm really impressed with that. He didn't wait for the passive to actually be up and, say that it's up. He timed it well so that while he's flying in the air, it just came up and he got his passive at the last possible millisecond. And he's able to get a good trade, force GP to base and TP in a little bit of an awkward spot. And he also got the QE trade as well. So again, we'll break it down a little bit more. Q's the tower. And then here we can see Q1's the tower. E's away, shoots his E out first, and then Q2's, gets the passive and stays on the wall for a little bit, because if he jumps here, his passive will drop off, so it gives the tower shot time to catch up, hits him, and then jumps off the wall. So really warmed up now. He made that mistake once at level 3, never again, and it goes down for the fruit. So really good stuff by him. So speed up a little bit, nothing really happened from this point. That was the major point of the lane. Lane phase about to end soon, and we're going to get some skirmishing. So keeping the wave in the center here, and we can see it. Really smart by him. He knows the jungler is topside, so you can trade as much as you want with your Q and W, but if you use your E, you are a free kill. So that's exactly why he's not doing that. And the reason he checked now, even though Maokai technically could still be there, is he has Sejuani under his wing now. So if Maokai rooted onto him there, he could pop ulti and Sedge would catch up and they'd be able to win the 2v2. So good playing around his playing with his jungle this game as well. And he knows, alright, Herald Fight's going to be coming soon. Herald's up in 5. I need a base. I don't want to be fighting this Herald, half HP, half mana. So bases and run straight there. And he played steel caps. A lot of their damage is AD. I wouldn't really count Maokai's damage. They do have a little bit of CC, but it's not really enough for Merc Tread, so the tabbies here is a bit better. And here we go. We'll play down the Herald Fight, so his team's on it. I'll put it on his vision. It already is. Nice. And the reason he's on this Herald is just to stack up his Q. He's helping a little bit, but we can see stacks up Q, looks for a play, comes back, stacks up Q again. Good Sejuani ulti there, and he tries to go for the one shot. So E flash, Q, just doesn't get the kill, ultis in and kills, and trades 1-for-1. So to be honest, not the best, but not too bad, trading 1-for-1 for jungle and blocking any potential smite steal. But it would have probably been better for him to play more so with his team there. But it's too tempting of an opportunity. The Maokai stunned low HP. He probably assumed he could get the kill in 1Q, or maybe if he weaved in an auto first, he could have got it. But not too bad of a position to be in overall. They got the Herald, so I would say that was worthwhile. And 3-in-1 Camille, nothing to sneeze at whatsoever. Now, from this point in the mid-game, he does want to be opposite side of Dragon, the next objective, but because he died, Faker had to cover top, so he has to cover bottom, but they are going to swap back later, because they don't want the strongest side laner to be bottom, and they don't really want their control mage, if you want to call Corki that, but their immobile kind of squishy carry on top lane, because the enemy team could just give Dragon and one-shot Corki and break tower, right? But they can't do that to Camille. He's pretty strong at this point. And if you're curious about his build, he's building Tunneler, building into a Styrax gauge. So he's skipping Tiamat, which is interesting. And the reason, again, it's a pro game, so you're not going to be split pushing that much with Ravenous Hydra. And once you have your Styrax on Camille, it gives you a lot of engage options and team fighting power. And he can beat this Camille anyway, this Gangplank, sorry, in side lane, without the need for Ravenous Hydra. So here, just poking GP under tower, he's not that interested in this dragon fight, and if I were to break down why, I would say because he doesn't have his Styrax yet, he's not that strong in a team fight situation, or maybe his team just wanted to play 4v4. Either way, he's just poking this GP out under tower, and if GP TPs away, of course he's going to break the tower, but playing more so to, they decide to give the dragon in the end and call Sejuani up. If GP stays here, he's a free kill. If not, free tower. So pretty good overall. And he had a TP here because there was action bottom. So they saw Sejuani top, so they made a bot play. So he TP'd in to cover his team. And we'll see how he plays out this skirmish. So GP TP'd as well. It's a little bit of an awkward situation to be in. They probably should have given up this tower, but TP's in. Q's off the cannon straight away. So WE's, tries to get the W onto Nessus, but he flashed away. And then he holds onto his E for a little bit just to kind of lock in his target in his mind. Flies in, Q onto Nasus, ulti's here, so very good. And something you'll notice very consistently in this game is he's chaining his ulti with the Ziggs ulti. So really nice combo there as well. Kind of like a modern day Camille Galio. Galio's pretty hard to play, so Camille Ziggs, next best thing. So gets the kill, kites back here, pretty low HP at this point. So he's just going to stack up his Q and kind of hover and see if he's needed for this play. And here, they're going a bit too deep onto Fake here. So he's going to be popping E. Now here, I would say he did make a mistake in the skirmish. He kind of split targets a little bit. So E'd onto Gangplank Q and then swaps target to Maokai. You need to make up your mind in these types of skirmishes. It would have been good for him to pick one or the other. You know, go for GP and let Corki die, or go for Maokai and try to save him. Either way, it would have been more okay, but he split target, so the GP was able to take him down. So not our best skirmish. I'd say that was very chaotic. He wanted to break top and punish GP, but he reacted to what was happening. So I'd say this was more of a team issue, but he definitely could have played that skirmish a little bit better in the later half. So now coming back onto the map after respawning, we're really close to getting our Sterix at this point. And the next objective is Baron, so he is going to be playing bottom and creating as much pressure as he can. So pushes in bottom, and he sees, because his team is heralding, he knows it's very likely that there's going to be action. The enemy team has to respond to this. So instead of going up and poking GP like he did before, he's making pressure, knowing GP responds, and moving up to the play around mid. That's very likely that it will happen. So that's going to apply in solo queue as well. Wherever herald is placed, most likely both teams are going to be grouping up around it, so you can look to be involved. So Q's the cannon to stack up his Q, E onto Maokai, great dodge by the Maokai, but can pop ulti anyway, so not an issue. And then here, bashes down the Maokai, clicks away. And something I really liked about this play was not just the macro, create pressure bot, create numbers advantage fight, but also the fact the second they killed the Maokai, he boosted away, eat away, and started recalling. The second his play is done, he's basing, because he doesn't want to stay on map half HP, and I'm guessing he has Sterix gauge, there it is. So really fast by him. The faster you can finish the play that you make and move on to the next play, the better it's going to be for your tempo overall. So hovering around, playing it a little bit selfish here, which is really good to do on Camille. He can let his Sejuani get beat down, but if he flies in and gets crowd controlled to death, not going to be great for the game. So here, he knows the enemy team's left by now. The reason he E'd this wall was to feel out if anyone's there. So you can use Camille E kind of like a ward. If there's someone in this bush, it'll give you an indicator, or here. So you probably saw the Nasus and the Nautilus here with his E, even though he has no vision of this. So really impressive stuff by him. And then goes down into the wave. And at this point, he can beat the Nasus in a 1v1, but he's got his team hovering around. You can't just sit there and fight him to death, of course, but he can definitely win, especially with his boys pulling up like this. So decides to go for the dive. Sejuani just tanks, really straightforward. So Corki does on the other side, which is a little bit unfortunate, but their Baron damage is very low, so he's not too worried about that. So breaks top tower, and again hovers around. He saw that there's potentially a fight going to break out, so this is his vision. He sees him taking control and starting to move a bit up, so he's positioned in an area where he can be ready for this fight ASAP. Even though he might have gone for this wave and solo queue, you know, greedy solo queue players will, he sees a potential fight happening, so he wants to be ready for it. So goes in on GP straight away and just bursts him straight away. So good by him, good target selection. Doesn't want to dive too deep onto Israel at the start of this fight, but now, of course, they got through the front line, and now very easy fight. So 8-2 at this point, extremely fit, and really good, I'd say, macro and skirmishing by him overall. So they choose to TP in him and Ziggs after getting those picks because they feel like they can do Baron. It was a bit of a dicey situation to be in. Their damage is pretty low as they have 80 carry Ziggs. That's why Camille's trying to help out with the damage as well. But they mainly want to play for the skirmish. So here, a little bit of a disconnect. I feel like there was a couple turners. I think Camille and Alistair on the right track here. And really good by him. Avoids the Maokai ulti. Stacks Q on the pink ward and then goes in. So nice stuff by him. He went for the Maokai to cancel to try to stop him from stealing. So we'll break that back. Might have been a bug or he might have got cancelled. But he tried to fly in onto the Maokai. A little bit of a bug. I think he ended up hitting, yeah, he did end up hitting Nautilus in the end, it looks like. So a little bit weird interaction there. Just kind of clipped him into the wall. So unlucky that he couldn't stop Maokai because Maokai did end up stealing it. So I'd say the way his decision making in that fight was quite good. A little bit unlucky there. Maybe could have placed his E a little bit better off to the side. But he is able to get a lot of DPS down without dying. So not bad. Actually, as I say that, he's going to fly in. The Zeus special makes a great skirmish and then flies in. Too greedy. But I would say the way he played that fight, avoiding Maokai ulti, stacking Q on everything he can, was really good. It was just unfortunate he couldn't get the steel block onto the Maokai there. Now, for this upcoming team fight, I was really impressed by the way Zeus was able to play it. He had a lot of creative positioning, and we'll see very shortly. So first of all, he fixes the wave before the dragon fight, and he's looking already for a creative position. So looking at his team, they're coming in, he saw a few of them, so he's trying to take over this bush, get into a creative flank angle, but GP did cheese him, but he's able to E away instantly and even avoid the Maokai ulti, or able to disengage it. So already off to a good start from the fight. So he gets over this wall, and hits the dragon a little bit, but now it's time for him to reposition. So he goes for a deep flank around the back. He doesn't want to play front to back running through Maokai, Nautilus, Nasus, so he's trying to get behind the enemies. Really deep flank around here, and he's just sitting and waiting. He doesn't go straight away. He's waiting for somebody to burn something. He wants a Maokai to go in or Nautilus, and we'll see Nautilus Q's in, and even burns ulti, and now he goes in. So stacks his Q on the cone, even W's over the wall first, and then goes in and chain CC with his Alistair. So really nice stuff by him. And he didn't commit ulti here. He doesn't want his team to run through GP ulti, even though they kind of are. They know it's hard for them to, he knows it's hard for them to follow him up. And now he's disengaging. Unfortunately, Nasus, best spell in the game with W, so he has to pop ulti to disengage, and then ease away. So great fight by him overall. I'd say the creative positioning was the most impressive part, and he's able to, I'd say, carry this dragon fight. So now, final portion of the game, we can see he's doing the Zeus special, eating all the camps, and here he does get trolled by his team a little bit, but he is able to recover. So he's a 3-item Camille, he's extremely strong at this point, but there is no urgency to fight. There's no Baron, there's no Dragon, anything like that, and his team plays super aggressive here, and Faker gets hooked and they get caught, so he decides not to TP. You don't want to be TPing into a losing fight like this. A fight that starts off with your Corki getting hooked, probably going to be pretty losing, so he decides to be greedy instead, pushing in bottom all the way, even breaks the tier 2, and gets a huge influx of cash, but he decides to TP because he doesn't want the game to end, so can't really blame him. And here he's just holding his position. He's trying to buy time for bot lane to spawn. He knows he's not clearing the wave, he can't go in here without dying, so he's just holding and putting pressure onto them to make a mistake, and Fake is able to get the wave, so he's able to hold in the end, and then clears this wave, and they did overstay a little bit. Good TP behind by Ziggs, and he decides to go for the flank here. So they're in a grid position there. It's really hard. It's hard for the opponent to get away. It takes him a long time. But he plays this next fight extremely patiently. So we'll see. He'll stack Q on this minion, very likely. But he can't just fly in here. I see a lot of Camille players. They fly in when they can. He stacked his Q. Maybe you'd go here or here if you were playing Camille. But it's really important that you have that discipline. So he pops Q. There's not a good wall for him to go in. So he's just observing. He's watching here. Even though Alistair got a good combo, he's not forcing in. If he flies in here and gets CC'd, he's probably going to get blown up, even though he does have some items at this point. And he's withered as well. Very awkward for him to fight. So he waits out the wither. And he's able to space out, buffer the Nautilus Q with his E as well. And then again, circling around the back, getting into these nice creative positions, and then stacks Q on the blue trinket. Everything he sees that he can stack Q off, he's always doing it. And he's able to blow up the GP, kill the Nautilus as well, and also one-shot the Nasus. So this is the most fun part about Camille, of course. E-Flash to try predict Israel getting away maybe, and picks up the quad, and even hunts for the Penta in the end here. EW, EQ2, so nice mechanics, and here he decides, instead of hunting for the Penta, to end the game. So a little bit cringe by him, gotta go for that Penta, but can't really blame him. Pretty intense game, better just to secure the dub. And yeah, really well played by him. Had a couple mistakes along the way, but in general his skirmishing and team fighting, and even his laning, was at such a high level that he was able to secure the win. Alright everyone, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video and also picked up a thing or two. And let's also hope together that we don't get another 100 games of Cassante vs Renekton in Pro, especially when they lane swap. I can't bring myself to review those games when they're level 1 at 5 minutes. It's not very exciting, not that fun, doesn't really apply to solo queue. So let's hope we get more exciting champions like Camille and Yone coming soon, and we can review them together. So hopefully I'll see you guys then.